Good day, planet Earth. Michael Litten, the host of Ride the Vibe, the last DJ, playing what he wants to play, saying what he wants to say, and doing it all out of the super cool, wicked awesome DRS studios right here in Roswell, Georgia. And I'm super stoked to have Ides of, I want to say March, but I'm going to screw it up, Ides of June on the show. I'm going to ask you all why it's Ides of June, but Ides of June on the show. And they're based out of Atlanta, GA, and they bring a refreshing approach to Southern rock genre, pulling influences from the likes of the Allman Brothers. Oh, you got to love that. The Black Keys, love them. Their sound is a product of a diverse background of influence from each member, powerful vocals, thunderous, occasionally fuzzy, bass lines, funky and jazz-inspired drum grooves, and dual lead guitarists. How cool is that? All contribute to the unique fusion of blues and Southern rock with just a touch of psychedelia. Man, oh man, to keep things interesting. So welcome, Dusty Huggins.
Thank you, sir.
And Alex Gannon.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
So we don't have the whole Ides of June in the studio.
We do not. We got two members taking the night off. It's typically our practice night, so they're taking it in at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought 4 people might be a little much. You can barely get a word in around 4 of us. So
I love it. Well, welcome to the studio. Super cool to have you guys on the show and in person. And for your fans that are growing, they're legion now and growing, but may not be familiar with Ride the Vibe, the way we roll the show is we like to say it's a old-fashioned music listening party format, right? Back in the day when you'd take an album like your Dwayne Allman anthology album, Alex, and you'd put it on the turntable. And then you had a plethora of information that came from the liner notes. And now with digital, and you just don't get that. So we're going to play 6-year songs off your great new third release, Rising Tide. Only a couple minutes because we want listeners to actually go buy it. And they can find that on the idesofjune.com, I believe, and actually purchase it. So you can make a little bit of money as opposed to the Spotify money that you don't get. And we're going to play 6 songs, just a couple minutes, and that gives us more room to chat. And then in the studio, we are featuring some From the Earth brew. So From the Earth, for you all that don't know, is a cool spot in Roswell, Georgia, right off of Alpharetta Highway, right off of Holcomb Bridge. And Ides of June will be playing there Thursday, April 11th at 7:30 p.m.
super excited about that. We just booked that probably a month ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, getting it started on it's a Thursday night, so Thirsty Thursday.
Love it.
At Roswell. If you want to come hang out, we'll put you on a good show.
Absolutely. And you're going to get some great beer. So in the studio, Dusty and I are featuring a little Crossroads, which is a Prohibition Ale.
Delicious.
And it's got a very psychedelic, talk about psychedelia, can.
It does.
And that From the Earth tree, as I look at this can, Dusty, it looks like a mushroom.
It looks like an Allman Brothers album cover.
It does.
It does.
I don't know whether Tim intended that. Tim Stevens, the owner and proprietor, great cat, cool cat, and just a music aficionado extraordinaire. And we really, really in Roswell appreciate the fact he brings live music like he does to Roswell and brings a group like Ides of June to Roswell and to From the Earth. So huge shout out to Tim Stevens. And he also has, if you got some little change in your pocket, go over to his steak place right next door called Basque and get yourself a good high-end steak.
So we got to get there early.
Yeah. And see if he'll treat you to a meal over there. Probably not.
Thanks for the free beer. Can I get some free steak with that?
These musicians, though, give them an inch and they'll take them out. So welcome, guys. And, we have to be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to the amazing Lucy Pillar.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Lucy and your connection with her.
So Lucy, we know her because she, I think, somewhat manages or is the booking agent for some cats that Alex actually grew up with. Hush Money. I think they've been on here.
Yeah. They
have. She's working on some stuff for us. So she's reached out and tried to help us out with some of that.
Yeah. And she is. So I say of Lucy, and she's heard this 1 or 2 times, but you got that whole Kevin Bacon thing, 7 degrees of separation. But I say of Lucy, probably 1 or 2 degrees of separation from every musician on the planet. And I'm not exaggerating because when you know Paul Rogers, you pretty much are connected to every musician on the planet.
Yeah, definitely.
And
right
Lucy
now,
would consider Paul a very, very good friend.
that's amazing. I love both the 2 projects I know of his, Mr. Big and of course Bad Company.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm jealous. I need to get her to
get you introduced to.
Yeah, definitely.
You and don't tell her that because everybody and their brother goes, "Hey Lucy, hey Lucy,
can you send him our album?"
We were blessed on Ride the Vibe to have his son Steve.
Nice,
awesome,
very cool cat. Yeah, so well, that's again a huge shout out to Lucy because it was through Lucy that we met you guys.
Yes, sir,
and got to hear your great music. And speaking of, I think we ought to cue up War for Peace. And we're going to play just a couple minutes, y'all. And then we're going to come back and talk about all things related to this project, Rising Tide. And again, you can find them at idesofjune.com. We'll be right back. War and Peace off of Ides of June. It's new album, Rising Tide. Guys, I love it. Talk about that song. Talk about this project. Talk about all things related to, and correct me because where to get the music purchase is actually.
You can actually get it anywhere through our distribution company, but if you just Google it, you'll come up on Amazon, Walmart, all those different places. Just go to Google, type in the Ides of June, Rising Tide, and it'll pop up. I found the cheapest place for a fan sometime, but it's around $10 or $12. So much appreciated for anybody that takes the time to do that.
And well worth it.
It's on vinyl and CD.
Oh, is it on vinyl?
It is on vinyl, yes. So.
Wow. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Of course the vinyl's the cooler one. So
yeah, definitely.
And I understand, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but other guests have shared with us that vinyl is now outselling CDs.
Last year was, I think, the first year that it actually outsold CDs. The first year that's happened ever.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So it's the younger generation going back to album and turntable and you have one, obviously, Dusty.
Turntable, yeah.
I mean, Alex,
Dusty's got one as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's an awesome way to listen to an album.
Yeah,
and it forces you
front to back.
It forces you to listen to an album from top to bottom, which Dusty and I are both big fans of.
Yeah.
Because that's how we grew up listening to music, was not necessarily on vinyl, but listening to an album from beginning to end, because we kind of think of it as like this was the order it was put in for a reason.
Yes.
Like I know that we fight each other and just go through all kinds of options when we're thinking about ordering
how to
a
pace
CD,
it,
how to pace it. Yeah. And so to us, we assume other artists are doing that, and we love to listen in that way as opposed to hitting shuffle.
And that's so fascinating because in this market, that's sort of a fish swimming upstream a bit, isn't it?
Singles is the way that most people go.
Yes.
And we released 3 singles off of the album as people always used to. But people just release singles and singles. And it's like in this day and age, people want, what do you got now? What do you got now? What do you got now? Instead of just like, we both love a complete body of work. And where were you at this era and time?
Yes.
So we've got 1 single in the books now that we will release soon, but I'd say it'll make it on the album whenever we get there.
I love it. Well, kudos to you guys because I think there's a lot that's missed. You, Alex, hit on it. You as musicians spend a lot of time crafting the order of the album, right? And you just mentioned you kind of fight over it a little bit. What you go where?
Yeah.
So people, and that's important. I think
it is
the pacing of the album. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of it. So kudos to you guys for doing it that way.
We think of it like a set list. A set list you want to spend time on, and I remember my dad saying when I was a kid, like the first song pulls him in, and the last song leaves him wanting more.
Yeah,
so
I love it. So Alex, your dad a musician?
My father was a musician. He's a guitar player. He's kind of the reason I do what I do. Grew up watching him play guitar. And
what genre or what was his?
Jazz, blues.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. Who would be
in that realm?
Kind of, who were you listening to when you were growing up?
Well, it doesn't really fall into the jazz blues category, but the first one that comes to mind actually is listening to him as a kid. He would put on the album Moonflower by Santana.
Oh my god!
And he'd just sit there and pick every note to every song.
Really?
Through the whole thing, and I would just sit there, a little kid just fascinated watching him and
so
wondering
Carlos
if he's actually doing it.
So
he's a big influence for sure.
On your dad, and then tangentially to you.
And, guys like Buddy Guy, Johnny Winter, Stevie Ray Vaughan. A lot of those guys are.
How many times has your dad seen Carlos?
How many times has he seen him?
Yeah,
I actually have no idea. I don't know that he has. I've seen him once. We saw him. Dusty and I both saw him last year, right? The end of last
with Earth and Wind and Fire when he came.
With Earth, Wind and Fire
at Verizon.
It's the one in
Lakewood.
Down. Yeah, south.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's called anymore.
Is it Lakewood again? I don't know what it's called. It's Lakewood Theater.
Not the Verizon that's called something else up here.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Good. Was he?
Yeah, it was
great. Amazing. Yeah,
it was great. Earth, Wind, and Fire was also
80, right, or
something like
70, 70.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
He's got a residency out in Las Vegas.
Does he right now?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
He does like one show a month or something. A buddy of mine just saw him and
that's great.
Said he was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He was awesome when we saw him.
Well, how about your influences, Dusty?
I was raised on Southern rock, pretty much.
Family influence, or
my uncle plays, and he was actually a gospel musician, and he was my idol growing up.
Yeah.
But I got into it later in life.
Yeah.
Playing wise, but my dad and mom both. My mom was a big Stevie Ray fan.
Okay.
Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Dad liked ZZ.
Yeah.
And of course,
hence your name, or actually you were
Dusty Hill. Yeah. From that's where that came from. And then he's a huge Skynyrd fan, and then Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
So I love all. Classic rock. The 70s rock. Tom Petty's I love. You know. Modern wise, the Black Keys I'm a big fan of, but you can't beat the old stuff most of the time, and if not, something that sounds like the old stuff.
Yeah, like you guys are doing.
That's what we've heard, and we're okay with it.
So what covers do you integrate into your sets when you do like a 3-hour set?
We do plenty of Tom Petty.
Yeah,
we do some ZZ Top songs.
Yeah.
We do some Allman Brothers songs. We do one Skynyrd song. We do some Black Keys.
Jimi Hendrix.
We do some Hendrix.
Oh, interesting.
We've done
some
Zeppelin.
Over the years, we've played a lot of stuff that kind of comes and goes out of our set list, just kind of to keep it interesting,
fresh,
at least for us.
Right.
And
as a guitarist, Alex, would you agree with this statement that Mike Campbell is very, very underrated? If you said to most people, Mike Campbell, they're going to go, "Who's that?"
Yeah,
he doesn't have the cachet of a Hendrix or a Stevie Ray, but he is
I mean, he's the man. We actually got to see him, was it 2 years ago?
2 years with the Dirty Knobs?
For Government Mule with the Dirty Knobs.
So
and we got
Mike was opening up because Tom had passed.
Correct.
So he did Running Down a Dream.
Yeah, he did a couple, I think. He wrote almost half the hits.
He did. Have you heard him talk?
No.
He sounds like Tom.
He sounds like Tom.
Oh,
it's kind of weird.
It is very weird. He started talking to me and my wife looked at each other. We're like, what the? It sounds like they're from the same place, but still they sound like, they don't sound like, they're from the South, really. They both have this, not a bunch of twang, but they sound
kind of that nasally kind of sound.
Yeah, they definitely do.
They just, because they've been together or were together so long.
Possibly.
So I was talking to somebody literally like 2 days ago about this exact conversation, no joke, and that's what this person said. They're like, probably because they just sang together for so many years. Maybe it just
that they just intertwined. Wow.
Yeah, but they were fantastic, and he's great. And I don't know the full story as well as Dusty does, but I know that when Tom Petty found him, he was like, "You're mine. Like, I need you in my band."
They were looking for someone else, as I understand the story, right?
It was like in high school too, right? Yeah, and he heard him
there's
playing.
some dude in the back room, and they're going, "Wait a minute, what's that?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey, you're going to be my guitar player," and then Mike was like, "I was actually planning on going to college." He's like, "No, you're going to be my guitar player." Some shit like that.
It's the same thing he told Ben Montetch's dad. No, I got to have him in the band. And the dad's like, no, he's going like Juilliard or somewhere like that. And Mont went, no, I think I'll go this way.
He did that a few times. He stole his last bassist, the one that passed from
Harry Mandel.
I think that's his name. Yeah, he stole him from some old country act. And he was like, please don't take him. But he's like, I want a guy that can sing harmony and he's on bass. And he's like, don't take him, don't take him. Howie. Yeah, you're exactly right.
The late great. Oh, okay. Another one that left us too early. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
That's too funny. Well, let's, we talked about these other musicians, but let's get back to the Ides of June. And if we could, Wahid, tearing seams. This is good beer. Oh, my God. We'll be right back.
To subdue present times, two balls of bone, but never told by anything. And we were climbing barbed terracing. They used to say, "You'll go to hell, and police wind up in jail. Live the life way too wild to be walking free." 'Cause there is day, there is night, there is wrong.
We are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ. That would be, of course, a shout out to the late, great Tom Petty. And if you haven't heard that song, you're remiss. So, but the last DJ, taking that line, saying what he wants to say and playing what he wants to play, screwed up because we did not talk about War and Peace, War for Peace. So we're going to talk about that, and then we'll talk about Tearing Seams.
Sweet. Well, War for Peace is a song that originally came from me just playing four chords, trying to figure out what to play. And speaking of Tom Petty, it's got a honeybee vibe going, and I really didn't even notice it. And then our other guitarist, Eli Browder, started singing it in a sound check, and Alex is like, "Oh, I'll never unhear that." So
he started singing Honeybee.
He started singing Honeybee.
Over War for Peace.
Over your
because it's a similar. I think it's the same, close to the same chord progression, but it's notes, whatever. But
yeah.
I wrote it about, I just had the random idea, War for Peace. It seems like a lot of the wars being fought around the world or is either, people invading, saying that they need peace, like Russia blaming us for going into Ukraine,
right.
or, people defending themselves. And I think it's just very ironic that all the wars or a bunch of the wars are supposed to be for peace. It's like, well, we could just be peaceful.
Yeah.
Instead of all that.
Cut out the war part.
Yeah.
Save a lot of lives.
Yeah, definitely. And the second verse is more like inner peace. I sing about like my mother passed. She's actually the reason that I started playing music.
Wow.
And I just talk about it's a struggle. I think all of us as humans finding peace, no matter how rough or blessed your life is. It's difficult to really find inner peace and be in a good spot. So,
did she get to see you, Dusty? Before?
She did not. It was actually, you were going to get to that, but so she passed on June 15th, 2012, and that inspired me and the previous guitarist to start playing. So, since she inspired us, it's like, hey, life's too short.
Yeah.
What do I want to do for, to die and say, I did what I wanted to. And playing music was that thing.
Wow.
So we've been struggling with band names for forever. And my best friend, Clay McConnell, said, what about Ides of June? And I was like, hell yeah, that's a good one. I like that. So that's where the name of the band came from.
And that was a question. You're going to take over my job because you'll do it a lot better because I'm screwing up left and right. Why Ides of June as opposed to, of course, the Ides of March?
Well, so she passed on June 15th.
Okay.
So the Ides of March, for anyone that doesn't know Greek mythology, Caesar was told, the Ides of March is actually March 15th. He was told, don't go out on the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March. And then he went out and he was murdered. So on June 15th, Mom died. The next June 15th, my brother got in a car accident.
Oh, my God.
And then the next June 15th, I was very irresponsible and was like $600 negative in the bank. I was still like figuring out my life.
On that exact day.
Every 3 years in a row. So we were just like, don't go outside today. Stay in. Don't do anything. And
I'm glad we didn't do the show. I'm glad I didn't suggest doing the show on it.
Stay away from me. And then like 10 years later, I found out that the Ides of March is the 15th, but the Ides changes all the time.
Yeah, it changes.
So the June is actually on the 13th.
It's like the 12th or 13th, right? But.
So we're just rounding.
But it's a good story.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love the backstory. So that kind of tees up, who does most of the writing? What's your collaborative process, if you will, for that?
I would say the majority, I would say Dusty does the writing of, and he's the lead singer of most of the songs, but he and I really collaborate a lot on the music, and then a lot of times we'll bring that to the band and get everybody's input, and it will morph and turn into what it's going to turn into when everybody gets their hands in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely work with each other a lot when we're writing.
And when you say work with, how do you come up with the idea? Where do they come? Do you have a certain time of day? Are you anytime or?
So I'm the bass player in the band, but a lot of the time, if I'm sitting around, bass isn't really created for songwriting. So I play acoustic guitar, and a lot of it just comes from piddling. Like the way I find most of the time, whenever I write a song, it's just like the first time I pick up a guitar and then just start playing, and then something happens like, oh, I like that. Let me play with that some. But I think the first album I wrote most of all of it. Clay wrote a few songs. The next album was a little more. And then this recent album, I would say it was a very united front on all writing musically.
Yeah.
Eli, for War for Peace, he changed the riff. I had it different. And he said, let's do this. And we changed it. And
Eli is your other
lead guitarist.
Yep.
Yeah. And
shout out to him, and then a shout out to the drummer. That would be
Austin Robb currently. Nick Gannon, his brother, actually was with us when we wrote this album. Yeah. So He's
and Nick is now drumming for
Hughes Taylor.
Hughes Taylor. So a shout out to Hughes Taylor.
Heck yeah.
Fantastic musician.
Yeah,
as well.
he really is a great guy. He and his wife.
So
his wife's on.
For the most part, if I'm singing, I wrote the lyrics. If he's singing, he wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
Eli sings a song we're going to listen to here in a little bit.
Yeah.
He wrote the lyrics. And typically, if I'm singing, I wrote the song outside of Tearing Seams, which we just heard.
Yeah.
Alex wrote the riff.
Yeah.
And on High Time, which I think might be on our list.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wrote that riff because I thought it sounded super Allman Brothers-y.
Yeah.
And I asked Alex to sing it because I thought it fit him more.
Wow.
But Alex wrote Tearing Seams. He wrote the riff.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, man, can I sing that song? And I've never really done that, but it just had like this Southern kind of dirty,
you were pulled to it.
Oh yeah, I was definitely, and I knew, or whenever we started playing it, I was like, you have to, because he just started with a riff, and I was like, well, we have to make that into something, because he sent me a video of it, and so it evolved. But I just took the time or the availability to be able to. I was like, I want to write this about my life, so it's pretty much like about the beginning of, me and my brother's life, and then the second verse is also includes more trials and stuff in the later part of my life. And
is your brother a musician?
He is not. He's a music fan, but he doesn't play. But we and him were together like I got one brother, and we were just thick as thieves growing up. So he's in the video for Tearing Seams with me, and he's very supportive.
Yeah.
Tearing Seams is about that, and then pretty much trying to, all the people that don't support you, screw them.
You got to with a breath of kindness, blow them away.
Yes.
This kind of thing, as Robbie Robertson
definitely.
says. So the late great, got another one going. Wow. So you did 2 albums in advance of this. Talk about those just a little bit and how you've evolved. How I've picked up the collaborative process, and I would think that makes the album better, but maybe that's a bad assumption.
Oh no!
It's a great album. I love it, I've listened to the other 2 as well.
Thanks, man. We also had someone on the on the Rising Tide album, Bruno, who was the keys player on it, and he contributed a lot. So I just want to shout out to him.
Yeah. Good.
But the first album, I wanted to do something like the Black Keys, and my best friend, one of my best friends, and the other co-founder of the band, he wanted to do something Queens of the Stone Age, and we were not up to the skill set to do either of those. So, but we did what we
had
thought.
Aspirations.
We've been playing 2 years when we made that album.
Yeah,
and so it was grungy, and my bassist Mike Rosenfeld was he was keeping me on key for vocals because I was figuring it out as we were playing. I think like most bands, it started off heavier and a little more
definitely
raw, darker
raw,
for sure, because that was right after my mom died. And I was, in a dark place. You're going to write what you want to about. Right. And the second album is actually the first one that Alex wrote the whole album with me and Clay and our previous drummer.
Okay.
So that was when I joined the band after the first album had come out.
Okay.
I guess the following year, maybe not even a full year after, maybe something.
Yeah,
like
probably not. We got to play our album release on June 15th, and then our bassist quit. So when you
say you got to play it on, it seems like you'd be steering away from that date.
We were like, we're embracing it.
Oh, God, yeah, right.
So actually, and that's just to interject real quick. That's we did an interview once, and Dusty worded it really, really nicely on an interview, and he said, the Ides of June has come. It started as this real dark place and this thing you want to stay away from, but it's come to like kind of represent hope. And something entirely different than what it originally represented. You worded it very nicely.
Thank you.
In this interview, brother. I can't remember who the interview was with, but we've tried to kind of adapt it.
I love that.
And
I want to play Rising Tide because it sounds like that may be, sort of a tie-in.
Yep.
The last DJ every once in a while, like a blind squirrel. So if we could, Wahid, let's cue up Rising Tide, which is the title track off this album. And y'all, you can see them live, and you definitely want to do that, from the Earth Brewing on Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell, Thursday, April 11th, 7:30. So you guys will do 2 hour or do 2 sets?
We're going to do two. Yeah, I think we're doing 1 full 2 hours.
Oh, are you straight through?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Wow. He said. I think they told us that people get up and leave. So
if you do a break,
if we do a break,
go through.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
we're going to try our best. I might have to let him go 3-piece. I got a small bladder, so it might be a 3-piece.
And this is
small bladder, and the beer is good.
And we're Dusty and I are featuring some Crossroads. This is a pre-prohibition ale, and then we also have a little. I think it's Going Out West, which is an IPA, which we may...
I'm about done with this.
Yeah, so you may be ready for that one.
Yeah.
But y'all, it's great beer. Tim Stevens is just a fantastic guy. From the Earth is a great venue. They support live music, and that's what it's all about, as Neil Young said so eloquently. Live music is better. And so we're going to hear Rising Tide, which is the title track, off the third release from the Ides of June, and you can find their stuff anywhere where you look that up. We'll be right back.
You wake up, your world is shaking. You can't seem to dry your eyes. All that you knew is all forsaken by pretty lies and alibis. Turn on the face in the mirror. Blame all the ways that you've been wrong. Oh, soon you see it all much clearer. Love of a friend, help you carry on. Out of the love of all the people, can't do it all on your own. When all you're fighting is your evil, oh, let the love move you along. Oh, let the love move you along. You wake up, your eyes are swollen. It ain't dark, but there's a light. Drowned in booze and barely floating. But from the south comes a rising tide.
We are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ, host of the show, and broadcasting from the DRS ATL studios in Roswell, Georgia. If y'all are looking for a place to record, this is a cool environment. Wahid is the consummate producer and host, and it wouldn't be a Ride the Vibe without him. So can't say enough about that. And then if you're looking for a way to make some money while you sleep, Wahid has a boutique publishing business, so you can get those placements that I don't really know anything about, but Wahid knows a lot about it. So talk about, I wanted to go back a little bit, though, and talk about the intro to Tearing Seams, which I thought was very unique. So one of y'all want to pick up that?
So let's see. So we'll start sort of into the intro and then move backwards to the very beginning. So we had this idea with the slide guitar and everything, and we got all that hashed out. And then I thought it would be really cool to do an acoustic guitar intro, and have the electric guitar with the full band take over that acoustic guitar, doing the same thing. So we did a slide intro just with some basic slide guitar noodling, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then we thought, it would be really cool while we were working on it. We thought it would be really cool if we had that old, like, scratchy radio kind of sound, kind of EQ out the bass and bring up the mids and, that type of thing. Just have it like sound real old school with some pops and clicks. So we voiced this to our engineer. His name is Ben Hernandez at Dragon Song Productions. Great guy. And so he worked on that for us. But then when he sent us a version, he's very good about just doing things that he wants to do and telling us, like, this is what came to mind. And if you don't like it, just tell me. If you do like it, we'll keep it. He's great about that, and we love that about him. So he had given us like this introduction that I think it started where it was just sort of like this radio preacher, like an AM radio preacher kind of thing. And we were like, oh man. And that gave us the idea, like, what if we cut that a little shorter and had it so that we were like actually switching between radio stations. And then the final radio station that you land on is me playing the acoustic guitar, the slide into tearing seams.
Sounding old.
Sounding old and stuff.
I love it.
And so that's kind of how we came up with it. And we actually did a video when we went and found an old radio. I believe Dusty's dad had an old radio. And so in the video, he's kind of turning the dial to try to line up.
Which I thought was very clever too.
And then so we decided at the very end of that, actually, just to tie it up, we the night before, I thought, oh, well, how cool would it be if we actually ended with the acoustic guitar as well, because this is like 10 p.m. the night before that we went in to record the next morning. And I was like, what if we just recorded it? And the band stops and then the acoustic guitar ends with that same kind of EQ thing. And it was a little bit of a gamble because if it didn't work, like, it kind of would have been a mess and we would have had to have redone the recording. But it ended up coming out pretty good. So it worked out well. But we're really, I'm really excited about that
track.
That whole track in general. I love all of the lyrics, and I know I'm not the only one because I've had tons of people comment on it, and I think it's just the driving drums. Sometimes, in the words of B.B. King and God knows how many other musicians, less is more. Like so. Just doom.
We're like, what are we going to do for the verse? Boom.
That works.
So.
Well, then talk about Rising Tide, the title track. And,
Rising
the significance about that.
That came about because me and my wife had broken up, and I was really sad. But it worked out. We're married. Got almost 2 kids.
This
3
was prior
kids.
to them being married.
Prior. So I was really, and so my friends were just super there for me the whole time. So I pretty much, instead of writing a negative, sad song, I wanted to make it about, there's this negativity, but you've got all these people that are here for you and pick you up. And we also, and lyrically too, I kind of made it about the second verse. You're kind of like, you're lost at sea and all of that stuff. And shout out to Sturgill Simpson. That's kind of where I got that from. But we wanted to make it a crescendo, correct?
Yep.
I got the music man over here. He's got to keep me straight.
Correct. From beginning to end.
So the way I said was, let's do something like Freebird or
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven. The Black Keys have a song that we used to do.
Oh, yeah. Little Black Submarine.
Little Black Submarine. So it's like those three. It's like, let's start off small and then get big. And then we recorded it. And I literally remember there's a bunch of, meaningful lyrics in there too. But I remember once we recorded it, like the next day, I literally was so happy with it. Like I was almost in tears. I was like, dude, I've never recorded something that well, or it came out exactly how I wanted to. Like,
did that then drive the title of the album?
Most definitely. We were, that was it. We felt like the first and second album were, could have been better, but I was learning and stuff like that. But the third album, I felt like was, Rising Tide. All ships ride the rising tide.
Yeah.
And I felt like this was something that we could really make waves.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Make waves.
We're in a water theme here.
And if you can't, if it doesn't, we know that the quality of the music was where we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And we I think, not just that song, but every song we broke down, it wasn't just like, all right, that one's good, let's move on. It's like, what else can we do with it, or what would be really cool? And then everybody chipping in on
crafting it. So each one crafted individually. Wow, I love it.
Having everybody's input, a bunch of guys in one room, writing stuff. And like we said, Matt Bruno was in the band at the time playing keys with us. My brother Nick Gannon was in the band playing drums with us, and we all had input.
I want to talk about the fluctuating members when we come back, but I want to hear High Time. If we could, Wahid, cue up High Time off of Rising Tide, the Ides of June's newest release, third release. And we are having a little, right now, Dusty and I are having a little Going Out West, which is a From the Earth IPA, and very, very tasty. And the cans are unbelievably clever. And who is that dude on there, Dusty?
It's one of my cousins for sure.
So you all will have to come out and see them at From the Earth Thursday, April 11th to see who Dusty's talking about. But if we could, Wahid, the High Time.
Well, it's high time. It's high time I just stood and walked away. Now it's my time, and this time I have got something to say. Oh, I can't fight my own disease. I just can't find a way to ease this pain. Well, I'm so tired, I'm so tired of keeping up with this game. Trying so hard, but I won't stop until my cards are played. No time for rest, no time for sleep. I run until I'm deep in my grave.
On Ride the Vibe, Michael Litten, the last DJ, playing High Time off of Rising Tide, which is the third release from the Ides of June. Totally killer. And you can get that in all the usual places that you would buy an album. So go out and spend the $10. Come on, y'all. I mean, please, these musicians are struggling, and the gigs are far and few between, although you will be able to see them at From the Earth Thursday, April 11th, 7:30, 2-hour set. And it'll be worth all of it. So, very cool.
Thank you, sir.
So, talk about High Time.
So High Time, I got in my, I don't know, I think it came from just picking up a guitar, but I was like, man, this gives me Allman Brothers vibes. And I was like, he's huge. We're both huge Allman Brothers fans, but I would say he takes the cake on that one. So I was
Alex does.
Alex is definitely.
Because he has the, we gotta take a little segue and say Alex introduced us to the anthology set, Dwayne's anthology, 2 album set. And on there is Aretha doing The Wait.
Correct.
And Alex, I will let you take over. And you said of that song?
If you listen to Dwayne Allman and Aretha Franklin doing The Wait, you may not ever listen to the band doing it again.
Wow. Whew. All right. But back to
that's what you
the Ides of June.
No, so I wrote it in, or I just wrote the lick bump, and And that's about as far as I took it a little bit farther, but I was like, Alex, why don't you sing this one? So, of course, we all, it's one of our few songs, I think, on the album that doesn't have a lot of changes as far as a bridge and stuff.
That's true, actually. Yeah,
the bridge, we decided, let's just everybody solo on. And so.
How do you make those decisions? How does that come? Is it, again, the collaboration, the people?
I don't know.
And
on that one, I think it kind of just felt like, you know what, this one doesn't necessarily need to have like a traditional breakdown or traditional bridge or anything necessarily. It's one of those songs that has a chord progression.
Yeah.
And that is the chord progression of the song. So if you learn it, you know the whole song.
Yeah.
And so, and then when we were learning the beginning of it, so like the whole band comes in, bow, and then it's just the guitar, and so we did that real steady, bow, bow, but then my brother Nick was like, well, why don't we change up those rhythms? And we were all like, yeah, it needs a little something at the beginning, to be a little less straight. And if you want some kind of varied rhythms, Nick is your man.
Wow.
How
many years younger, Alex?
Nick is 2 years younger than I am.
And you guys were in bands together? Or no?
Not before now. We've always played together. I mean, we grew up playing music together.
Yeah. And because your dad's influence, did Nick choose drums because you played guitar and he didn't want to be another
it was quite the opposite, actually. So I played guitar and little brother syndrome, so he played guitar. And then I played
like
drums.
Dwayne and Greg.
Yeah, exactly. So then,
very cool.
And much like Dwayne and Greg, so then I played drums, and then Nick played drums and kicked my ass at it, just like Dwayne kicked Greg's ass at drums, because Greg taught Dwayne how to play guitar.
Yeah.
I didn't teach Nick how to play drums, but he was like way, way better. But he's a great guitar player too, actually. He's been playing guitar again for the past couple years and getting his chops back up, because we used to play guitar together as well.
Yeah, of course. Right.
We didn't have anything to do. We grew up in the woods with no TV, so we played guitar.
That's a shut up. Shut those TVs off. Come on, man. I don't believe the brothers had TVs either. I don't know, they weren't watching them, that's for sure. That would be Greg and Dwayne. So talk about the evolution of the band and how that helps, hurts, the fluctuation of members.
Well, fluctuation of members sucks sometimes.
it can definitely be a bummer.
So it depends, We've had some people, it's been better that they leave, and some people, you're like, gosh, I wish it worked out. So you kind of, I think for the past how long you been in the band? 6-7 years?
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
It's like, I felt like as long as me and Alex are the core and we've been working on it, but everybody contributes and has contributed, but we're kind of, it means a lot to both of us.
But the more you play with a group of people, of course, you inevitably learn how each person plays. You learn how to kind of react to certain things, especially in a live setting, which we're very much so a live band in that, we probably don't play the same solos every time, or we might change things up here and there, or that type of thing. And it's
cheers to original music. And not tribute bands or cover bands.
And in that type of, and we love playing cover songs. That's why we do what we do, is because of the music we grew up listening to, obviously. But yeah, so it's of course it helps the longer you play with somebody that you get to know how they are and how to respond. And
you can feel when somebody's doing something else, like, oh, okay. And then we've done stuff live that we've never done before at practice, but it just like felt right, and then we just all.
Is it harder to keep a group together now because of the lack of gigs?
We've had just kind of various reasons without diving too deep into it.
I don't want.
The original lineup of the band was before I even knew about the Ides of June. Dusty and I knew each other in college, actually, prior to me moving back down to Atlanta.
Young Harris College.
Very cool.
And
so Dusty, you're a Blairsville boy.
Blairsville and Blue Ridge.
I love it.
Yeah,
B&B, baby.
I'm from Blairsville. He's from Blue Ridge.
So Tommy Townsend, book these guys, will you?
Hook us up, Tommy.
Come on, brother.
Hometown.
Yeah, come on. You got.
I've been emailing you.
Dusty. Yeah,
holler at me.
So that cues up. Oh my gosh, I've got a second one this time, Wahid. Call my name. So Tommy, call their name. That's the song, though, and we're going to play that, and then we'll be right back. So that is Call My Name off the Rising Tide. That's the third album from the Ides of June. So Tommy Townsend, call their name.
Call my name, Tommy.
That would be Dusty.
Please.
Dusty. Please call.
We need somewhere in Blairsville to play.
Why not? Come on. Dusty's a local boy. And Alex is a Blue Ridge
Close
boy.
enough.
Yeah.
And they both went to Young Harris.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be.
Heck yeah. And if anybody from the Fox or Variety Playhouse is listening,
call them too.
Y'all can holler at us as well.
And we appreciate Tim Stevens calling them.
Yes.
Because they will be there on April 11th. That's a Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30. Come on, y'all. You can come out. And I'm guessing you guys are going to have some CDs.
Absolutely.
CDs, vinyl, shirts.
Oh, vinyl there too.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I love it.
We'll have it all.
Good. All right. So come on out, y'all, from the earth. And thank you, Tim Stevens. Dusty and I are now featuring a Going Out West IPA.
It's delicious.
And it's got his relative on the can.
Yeah, he's hunting ginseng somewhere. Or growing pot or something. I don't know.
Or all of the above.
Yeah, they typically do that. Mountain
exactly.
folks.
So talk about Call My Name. The time is flying by, so I want to make sure we get in Drift Away.
Yeah, Call My Name. Actually, we really wanted Eli Browder. He joined the band 3 years ago or something. Actually,
four
maybe.
Probably four.
As a drum. Well, he didn't join the band. Our drummer sucked. This is a guy. He was an asshole.
Are we gonna have to bleep that out?
He was an asshole. He won't listen to this.
Oh, okay. Good.
Maybe if you got to bleep ass out. But he left the band. He wanted to make more than the band was making each gig. So we asked Eli if he'd sit in on drums. So Eli said, "Yeah, man, I'll sit in on drums." And he sat in on drums. And then we found Nick to join the band, and we moved Eli to guitar because our other founding guitar member moved out west with his girlfriend.
Going out west.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
All right. Well, look at that. Good for you, Dusty.
It's working out today. So anyway, Eli's a great vocalist.
Yeah.
So we had 9 songs or so in the can, and me and Alex sang every one of them. And we're like,
we need Eli on one.
He was very vocal about, I just want to play, I sing in another band, yada, yada, yada. We're like, you ain't getting out of this album without singing a song. So I don't know if he had the lick, but I know a bunch of the song, we were like, what's next in the song? And he just was like, okay, let's do A here, or G here. And I think
Yeah, that was one of those that he had the main riff at some point.
Yeah.
And then, I don't really remember exactly, but as a band, we finished writing the song.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We put it together like kind of how we wanted it, and then we came up with having a separate progression altogether for the guitar solos.
So again, collaborative.
Very collaborative.
I mean, that's resonating loud and clear through this conversation.
most collaborative album project I've ever been a part of.
And your best, you would say.
Most definitely.
By like 2/3, 3.
I'd say 2 or 3 times. Yeah. And I mean, the musicians on the album are just top notch. They've all been playing for 20 plus years, depending on their age.
So you have that, and then the collaboration.
Yeah, and everybody had 2 cents. And then if there was a question of what we should do or what we should do one way or the other, our method was let's play it both ways. Yeah. And then I would say 90% of the time, by the time we got through playing it both ways,
we all agreed.
It was just like
that's it.
Most of the time, yeah.
And we're always
we'd argue about it for multiple practice sessions, And my brother was in the band, so we just argue. That's what brothers do.
You're brothers.
That's right.
Well, and as a tribute to those members that have drifted away, we're going to cue up "Drift Away." If we could, Wahid Gomes at the helm.
Way up in Northern Georgia, near the North Carolina, my family swinging, swaying with feeling divine. One look around, and brother, what do I see? All of the people we love, loving my woman and me. Let's all get on. Good times calling. Let's all get on. Dancing through the day. Let's all get on. Oh, the night is falling. up, head down, try to slow down time. Let's all take a break. Good times calling. Dancing through the days. Oh, the night is calling. Let's drift away.
So that is Drift Away off of Ides of June's third album, Rising Tide. You can see them at From the Earth Thursday, April 11th, and get some of these killer beers, whether it's Crossroads, a Prohibition Ale, or Going Out West, which one of their members did not too long ago.
Yeah.
Former members. And some of them just drifted away.
Yeah. Some of them were pushed in a raft.
Some of them were pushed away, but they didn't title it Pushed Away.
No, we did not.
No, because it's a high, it's a positive. Rising Tide,
Yep.
Ides of June, everything positive. So talk about Drift Away. Well, we got just a couple minutes. It's just flown by.
Speaking of positivity.
Yeah, Drift Away was actually, it was a song. Every member wrote a song on the album. Nick wrote
Truth or Dare.
Truth or Dare, which we didn't feature today. But Drift Away was written by Matt Bruno.
And Dusty, we didn't do that because they're going to have to go buy the album to get the other 7 songs.
That's right. I like
Yeah.
See the method to my madness?
I dig it. I dig it. So he wrote the song, or he just came up with a riff, and I was like, dude, I really like that. It reminded me of a Skynyrd song. It reminded somebody of, I think, Guns N' Roses or Van Halen song, and someone else. So it's just like the opening riff. So Bruno was actually living in Augusta, and we're like, hey, we really like that. We're going to write.
Yeah, he just sent us a video of it real quick.
Wow.
And so we started writing.
We just he and I actually, Dusty and I got together and altered it.
The timing on it, yeah.
kind of.
And who does your videos? Do you guys do them or?
Most recently, okay, so the last music, like Full Tilt music video that we did for Tearing Seams was done by Matt Williams.
Okay, Matt.
With
shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and it came out really good.
It's great.
We're really happy about that. He also did Mercy video, which is a song off our past album.
Yeah.
And then my wife, Michelle, is a photographer by trade.
Okay.
And also, she's not a videographer, but she's quite good with it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I'm pretty decent
shout
with
out
the
to
editing.
Michelle, too.
Shout out to my wife,
good.
Michelle.
2 wives. We got one pregnant.
Yeah, we do.
That would be
right.
Dusty's. Hoping for a girl. So we're going to channel that.
Yeah, that's right.
So the time has just flown, y'all. I can't thank you enough for coming in, but just wrap up with parting comments, thoughts.
It's I think Rising Tide is our best work yet. Not to sound any kind of cocky way, because I wouldn't want to, but I think it's something, if you're a fan of 60s, 70s, classic rock, or even a more modern blues rock fan, that it is something you will dig. Yeah, yes. And it's we tried to keep it interesting. It's unique. It's got a lot of different bridges. We put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
It was.
We did put a lot of work.
3 years worth of work.
Wow.
Yes, maybe more.
Wow.
Maybe by the time we released it, I know it was 4.
Wow.
Maybe.
And you've got
we started on it in 2020. Right?
Yeah, and then
it's when we started, and then like a couple months later, we were just sitting in the water and waiting for months before we could even
waiting for that tide to rise.
Waiting for that damn tide to rise.
To float all boats.
So,
and you have a single that you've got in the works that could be on
ready to go.
The 4th album.
It'll be on the 4th album. Yeah. It's actually completed
before the
spring.
The next few months.
I'd say we'll release it in spring.
It's
either called More or Give Me Some More, something like that. But it's a real blues rocky.
Yeah.
I was trying to go for a fun-loving.
And you'll release that in advance of the 4th album.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Let Rising Tide have some run.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when people come out to From the Earth, they're going to hear basically the whole album, you think, or a good portion?
A good chunk of it. I'd say most of it.
90% of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it might be 1 or 2 songs we don't do.
And then they can buy it right there.
That's right.
So y'all, this has been a gas. Alex, Dusty, thank you all so much for coming on Ride the Vibe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wahid, for putting it all together. And Tim Stevens, we're going to see you on Thursday, April 11th, 7:30. You better get there early because it'll probably sell out.
I'm pretty sure that's low ticket sale alert came out.
Already.
While we're sitting here.
So there you go, y'all. We are out of here. Michael Litten, the last DJ, host of Ride the Vibe.
Maybe